Intersection Magazine Podcast.
Welcome to Intersection Magazine Podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Kianda. Today we'll be discussing a piece I came across from Instagram which really describes the strength and power behind the ecosystem and technology and innovation manufacturing that exists in China, and why it's going to be very, very difficult to displace the Chinese in their place of dominance. So what I'll do first is I'll play you the clip and then I'll explain my key takeaways from that conversation. So thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. I've been your host, Nicholas Kianda.
Eric, why is every product in China tied to one specific city? Like, why does every lighter come from Wenzhou? Why do all Christmas decorations come from Yiwu? That's when I realized most foreign buyers don't really understand China's manufacturing map at all. In the West, factories are spread out randomly. In China, industries cluster like ecosystems. If you want small home alliances, go to Ningbo Cixi, electronics, Shenzhen or Dongguan, toys, Shantou Chenghai, socks, Yiwu Datang, furnitures, Foshan Shunde, textiles, Shaoxing Keqiao, luggages, Baoding Baigou. This isn't luck. It's decades of suppliers, labor, machines, and logistics forming a self-reinforcing ecosystem. A factory doesn't move because its entire supply chain is next door. Let me give you a real example. I once sourced hair dryers for a client. We went to Cixi, a city most foreigners have never heard of. Within 5 kilometers, you'll find motor suppliers, injection molding plants, heater core makers, buttons and shells, packaging companies, and at least 50 assembly factories. One boss told me, we don't make hair dryers. We make the entire ecosystem around the hair dryers. That's why a random city in China can out-compete entire countries. Each industry has its capital city, a place where the workers are trained for that product. The machines are optimized for that product. Even the repair shops specialize in that product. When you are inside the right ecosystem, everything is smoother, faster, and cheaper. When you are outside it, you're fighting gravity. If you want to find the right factory, don't start with the price. Start with location. Because in China, you don't choose a factory. You choose an industry cluster. And the right factory appears naturally. That's the part most foreigners never see. If you pick the wrong city, you lose 20 to 40% of your budget immediately. This is why foreign buyers contact me. They want someone who already knows the map. I'm Eric. Think of me as your buyer office in China. If you need help with sourcing, pricing, or vetting factories here in China, send me a message on what product you're working on, and I'll point you in the right direction. See you.
So, a couple of things were happening while I was listening to this man speak. First is I thought about how my brother and I, who I interviewed in one of the first episodes we ever released of Intersection Magazine podcast, had started a sourcing company. The subject or the idea was to have the ability to source products from China and use his contact as a person who had lived in the country for over 20 years to get these products to people who needed them globally, leveraging, as I said, the idea that he had been in the country for so long and knew who was who in terms of manufacturing, production, shipping, etc., etc. Now, these were things that we spoke about maybe 3-4 years ago, and had been engaging on and around the same subject for a few months before, for example, we saw the emergence of tools that began to say, hey, come to us, use our software application to help you find specific products. We'll help you get rid of the middleman. We're essentially have created a sourcing application that will help make your work easier if you're trying to get your products in through, you name it, any famous website or e-commerce company. So clearly there was going to be a sense of that famous word disruption for those who are seeing themselves as sourcing companies. That artificial intelligence once again was stepping in to a space that was traditionally more built for individuals who had a familiarity with the landscape, of course, and the language as well, and who had developed deep relationships in the past to become catalysts or key people to enable this sourcing to take place. So when I listened to this young man speak about his experience and his perspectives on the ecosystems that were existing in China, I was maybe excited, maybe the flame was reignited, because he was positioning himself as a go-to person with an understanding of how China thinks and how China manufactures and how China innovates and how China has built systems to help it function on a completely different and competitive level that I think is unmatched. So he describes a city that has industries within it that are ecosystems within themselves that can outcompete countries. You're talking about maybe Los Angeles, San Francisco. If you take it out of California, you're talking about maybe Columbus, Ohio, Raleigh, Fuquay-Varina, a single city within a state that can outcompete a whole country simply because they have infrastructure in place, they have companies, they have manufacturing, they have workers, they have built systems that can help function or help you source individual products, not only for you to find those products but also for you to ship those products out of the country of China into whatever country exists on this planet efficiently and for the most part for the cheapest price. And of course, cheap does not mean low quality, although there is that fear amongst many people, but here in this case, cheap does not mean low quality. Now, the other idea that came to my mind when I was thinking about this was my whole idea or concept around ecosystems. That, of course, for those of you who've been watching this space, has become a quick go-to term or buzzword. You hear companies such as Google, Amazon, Facebook, all talking in terms of ecosystems where they want to become all in alls for social, for search, for artificial intelligence, for the metaverse, in case of Facebook, for fashion, interaction, email, hardware, software, you name it. Now, in the context of innovation, technology, and manufacturing, at least in the case of China, but more broadly in terms of when I think about ecosystems, I think about Silicon Valley. I mean, that's has been ground zero in terms of where all our thoughts regarding startups or fast growing businesses has come from. What we identified or what I've seen in Silicon Valley or what has been documented in Silicon Valley usually has a description of a campus, Stanford University, University of California, Berkeley. You have, of course, maybe a hub that gathers startups or small businesses, gives them training, whether that has to do with financial, legal, structural issues, who gets to be director, who gets to be CEO, who gets to be information officer, who gets to be technical officer, etc., etc. The whole C-suite, as you call it. You have incubators which help businesses that are kind of struggling, that have been born, yes, but that need to be connected to a more powerful source for a longer period of time before they can be let free. You have accelerators which help businesses that have leveled or that have received some level of success to expand and to grow, in a sense, to be accelerated. Then you've got venture studios which can accommodate whole companies, so to speak, and equip them with the tools that are necessary for them to succeed. You have people that are investing, we're talking about angel investors, venture capitalists, maybe on another level, hedge funds, that are putting together billions in terms of investment on another level, as opposed to those who are engaged with companies on or in series of investment, whether that's Series A, Series B, Series C investments, and then of course the IPO stage where they go public. You have universities which are normally being centered or built around research, which is then converted into business products. You have companies that have been established or that have gone through all the stages that are necessary to maybe go public or to be accelerated and then finally have begun to contribute to the ecosystem themselves. So my definition of ecosystem was really all those compartments coming together to make something healthy. And that's a decent comparison which I have used for my descriptions of the success of Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, and Nigeria, at least for Africa when you're talking about the big four. Later on, I used the same model to see what existed in Rwanda, Tanzania, Zanzibar, Uganda, and a few other countries. But to think about a country such as China that has cities that can outcompete vast nations, I think they are operating on a completely different level. So that's just what I wanted you to think about as you explore nationally your country's position, your country's success level in terms of what your country is building and how successful your country can become as it prepares to compete with other countries, or in this case cities within countries. There's so much I think that we can learn if we take time to maybe visit these countries and benchmark on some of what they've done, on the planning that has had to take place for all of this to happen. To be honest, if you see what the Chinese are doing, you will be overwhelmed, but I hope not discouraged. So that's basically it. Take some time to visit the Instagram page that is described by the man who spoke, but also take some time to do some research of your own on China and how the ecosystem exists there and how they're building differently. As before, I've been your host, Nicholas Kianda. You can subscribe to our magazine for only $24 for a whole year of issues. You can also get access to exclusive content on this podcast, which we're working on putting in place. But as always, say thank you for listening, thank you for subscribing, thank you for keeping us active. We look forward to seeing you and hearing from you through this week and for the weeks that are coming. We're wishing you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, and of course Happy New Year. Thank you.
Intersection Magazine Podcast.